Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Jo. You found Joey Sewy. Here is where I talk about sewing, creativity, knitting, life and anything else that takes my fancy. Today we've got a favourites video. So my favourite videos are not about products and getting you to buy stuff and all of that kind of thing, which you find some places on YouTube. This is literally just kind of a snapshot of the things and stuff that I have mostly been loving this month. Yeah, nice and vague. So I'm trying to keep to the same format each month. This is the third time I've done it and it seems to be really popular, so I'm going to carry on and do the same one. So the first thing that I'm going to talk to you about is my favourite Instagram hashtag or post from this month. Now, in all honesty, my month has basically been typing an essay. I'm finishing my master's degree at university, and there's a lot of work to do at the moment, so there's not been a lot of browsing on Instagram. So I had a quick look this morning to see what was inspiring on there, and I found such a cute post, so I'm going to put it up here and you can have a look at it. It's basically a couple of months ago in my favourites I said that visible mending was my favourite hashtag to follow. I follow that and this popped up there, and it's basically someone's just embroidered a teeny tiny little bee to cover a hole in a cardigan. And what I love about it is that from something that was basically a broken garment, it's now an even more awesome garment than it started. I mean, what could be better than that? It was just lovely. I think if you were going to do that, personally, I would iron on a teeny tiny scrap of iron-on fusible interfacing on the underside first, so that it would made the sewing easier. But yeah, I loved that. I thought it was so cute. And then of course the other hashtag that you could follow at the moment is the sewing bee. See what I did there? Not on purpose. Yeah, because of course the sewing bee has started in the UK and that is very exciting. I did take time out of essay writing last week to sit down and watch that. And yeah, I liked watching that too. So you could follow that hashtag as well. Related, my favourite recent YouTube video is the series The Big Painting Challenge, which is a BBC series, and I have found a channel where they've got all of the last series, which I didn't watch, available. Now this, let's be honest, it probably breaks copyright, but it's not available on the iPlayer, which is the appropriate place to get it. It's just not there anymore. So if you're interested in creative stuff, the Great British, what's it called? The Big Painting Challenge, I think is what it's called. It's like the sewing bee, but for painting. And I don't paint very often at all. I draw occasionally. I would love to do more, and perhaps when I finish studying, that will be one thing I do more of. But yeah, I just love watching the process. So it's got a lot of the similar things to love as sewing bee, because you learn tips and tricks about how to get better at this skill, or just an insight into what it takes to have this skill. So I love the learning part of that programme, and also I find the presenters likeable and I find the contestants likeable. So if you would like to watch that, I would recommend that, and I will put a link to it down below. Because, as I said, it's probably not copyright permitted, it may not stay live forever, so if you're watching this a while after, I'm sorry if it's gone, but search for the Big Painting Challenge and hopefully you'll be able to find something. So yeah, I have really enjoyed watching that before I started on essay stuff. My favourite new pattern that I've seen this month. So I've got a couple of things. The first is a children's top, but I don't like it because it's a children's top. I like it because of the detail. So it's called the 19th, the 11th of February top, I think. I'm gonna put a sign up here, so I can't remember the name, but I love the folded detail here, and at the end of the cuff there's a folded origami detail on the cuff, and I just think I love those kind of details. I'm really sad that there doesn't appear to be an adult version, but yeah, I really like those details. So I saw that and I thought, yeah, when I get back to doing a bit more sewing, because it's been a bit sparse recently, I've had a Pinterest board for a while of origami details, so I really like that. And if you've got a little girl in your life, or you could adapt it for a boy, if you've got someone in your life you could make that for, then I think it'd be a really interesting sew to work out how that works. A bit of engineering curiosity going on. And then the second one is something I'd like to make. Whether I'll have time, I don't quite know, but it's what I would call a body warmer. Americans call a vest, I believe. You see, a vest for me is a thing underneath a shirt. I've got a vest on. There you go, there's a vest. That's a vest for me. It's a thermal underwear layer, especially at this time of year. But a vest for Americans is a body warmer for me, or a waistcoat, isn't it? So this is, or a gilet, okay? So the fancy name is a gilet. It's basically a sleeveless coat, isn't it? And it's a really good transitional piece. I'm going to tell myself that we are transitioning into spring. It's actually fairly warm out there at the moment, but it's not over. Winter's not finished with us yet. But yeah, a body warmer is a really nice transitional piece because you can put your jumpers under it and keep your core warm. So I like this pattern. It's called, I don't know, I'm going to have to look it up. You can see a picture here. The Envigado vest by Itch to Stitch. So I haven't sewn any of their patterns. Tell me in the comments down below if you have sewn them, because I'd love to know what they're like to sew, what the instructions like particularly. It's got quite a lot of technical details in it, so you can add a hood. It's got a drawstring at the waist if you want that. It's got patch pockets, it's got poppers. Oh, poppers have always been my nemesis. I don't think I've ever got poppers right. And this is shown out of some kind of wax cotton or something like that. So, but you could do it out of all sorts of different fabric, and it's lined as well. So it's not a simple sew, it's quite a technical sew, but I would really like another gilet, as I will call it, in my wardrobe. The favourite thing I have made, so I use this category not of what did I make this month, because you see that in another video, although the favourite thing I made this month is this jumper. And I have been wearing this jumper a lot. This jumper, not this. But my favourite thing that I've been wearing all the time is something that I will not wear out of the house. It is these rather questionable trousers. And I've been wearing them all the time because I've been in deep hibernation mode. So why do I like them so much? Well, they're basically like pyjama trousers. They have no discernible elastic at the waist, so it doesn't matter how much I've eaten. And to sit down in them you don't get cut in half. They have a cuffed bottom, so I don't get drafts up the bottom of my legs. They're basically really comfortable. I love this colour, but in this garment to wear out, it's not something I'll be doing, but I have been wearing these a lot. They are my curl up on the sofa trousers. They are my I have to sit down for a long time trousers, and that has been my life this last few weeks. So these trousers have been getting a lot of wear. They're based on the Moji trousers from Seamwork. I changed the waistband to basically just be a fold over of fabric. It's a stretchy fabric, not brilliant recovery, so I think if I jumped up or down a lot they would fall down. But as I've just said, I'm wearing them because I'm not jumping up and down a lot. So those have been my most worn or most appreciated Me Made garment this month. My favourite purchase of the month has been some new bird feeders. And it even relates to sewing because, as I will show you in a picture just here, I have put them right outside the window of my sewing room. So I have bird feeders elsewhere in the garden. I've got some hanging off a tree and I've got some somewhere else. We're lucky, we've got a fairly large garden. But I fancied, because I knew I was going to be sat down for a long time, did I mention that? I wanted to have something to stare at in those moments where I couldn't think of anything to write. So I bought myself a new bird feeder and I popped it right outside the sewing room, which is also my study room window. And the cat loves it too, as you will be able to see from where she sits. When I'm working, she sits and chats at the birds. Have you ever seen cats when they're watching birds and they go as if they're pretending or imagining what it would be like when they bite them, which is nice. So yeah, that's been my favourite purchase this month because I haven't bought much, to be honest, and also because I am able to watch the birds on those bird feeders. Right, we've got 2 categories left. I'm going to bring in this for the next category. So my favourite gadget of the month has been my wrist pin cushion. This is not a new gadget. It's self-made. It's a bit of elastic. There's an old credit card in the bottom there, or like a loyalty card, so that when you stick the pin in, you can't stab your own wrist. And it's basically a little mini cushion that's sewn on. That's it. It's as complicated as that. And I use it all the time when I'm sewing. I haven't been sewing very much, but why I picked it out this month is because one day last week, it's school holiday this week, one day last week I went into school to Felix's class, my youngest son's, and we did some sewing. And I've been into school and done sewing before, and this looks like a pincushion to you, but to an 8-year-old child it is actually an enchanted object. You wouldn't believe how amazed young kids are at this pincushion. They just love it. They're fascinated by it. They love the fact that they can't stab you, but they can pretend they're stabbing you. I try not to say that personally. They love all the little coloured dots. I love it because it's convenient. I don't have to wonder where all my pins have gone because I know. So yeah, it's whenever I've sewn with children, they love this. So if you ever have some children to sew with, and actually even if you don't, a wrist pin cushion, I'd never had one before I made this, and now I would not be without one. I love them. They are awesome, and I keep my needles in it too, or some of them. So that's been my favourite gadget. And the very last thing the very last thing is my favourite podcast or radio programme or book, and it's both an audiobook and a book. This one, same thing. So I've chosen this book. It's not new. It's called Love's Executioner, and the author is Irvin Yalom, who is a psychotherapist in America. He's in his mid-80s now, and he's been writing for quite a while. This is from 1991, and I first listened to the audiobook, which is available on Audible and presumably other providers as well. And because I was actually quoting this book in my psychotherapy essay, I bought a paper copy of it as well. Now this is not just, it isn't a textbook, it's not there. I was going to say it's not just a textbook, but the thing is it isn't a textbook at all. Its full name is Love's Executioner and Other Tales of Psychotherapy, and it's basically 10, I think, case studies, and they're just fascinating stories. There's a chapter at the start and a chapter at the end that kind of talks about the technical process, but even then he's a really accessible writer, so it's not dense at all. It's fascinating about the process, but the stories in between are just really, really interesting stories, and who doesn't love a story? So if you're at all interested in how people work in relationships, in therapy, if you've never had it and you want to know what it's like, I mean, there's a million different types, but this is a type. I would recommend this, and it's just a really good read if you like that kind of thing. So Love's Executioner, on Audible or in an actual book form, is my recommendation for this month. Those are my favourites. I hope you've enjoyed. I would love to hear your favourites too, so I ask this at the end of every time, because I'm fascinated. I know what my favourites are. I would like to know what your favourites are, and if you're watching this, read through the comments and find out what other people have been saying and doing, because it's really interesting. It turns out that the viewers of my channel are interesting and intelligent people. Of course you are. I wasn't surprised by that. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will be back very soon. The next video after this is going to be a celebration of the fact I have just reached 4,000 subscribers. So if you're lucky, there might even be a giveaway. I'll see you soon. Bye.